There we go. I unmuted myself now. Hello, welcome to Cult EXE. We're a channel here on Plus One EXP. I'm Keegan EXE, the content necromancer and a cult leader here at Plus One.
And I'm Sarah, your stepdad and the other cult leader. Plus One is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. The dream and hope here at Plus One is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games, there we go, and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. Keegan?
I'm sorry, I was fully looking away. Where?
Yeah, it's okay. Listen, we're doing character study. Can you tell them what character study is, Keegan, or do you care?
No, I got it. Today you're joining us for Character Study, a cult classic where we sit down with folks across the TTRPG space to learn more about their character in the systems they love and who they are out of game. We're taking audience questions, so feel free to chime in with questions as we move along. Our guest today is Linda Codega, a staff writer and entertainment journalist for IO9 and Gizmodo. They cover a variety of media in the sci-fi and fantasy genres and are an author, game designer, sailor, and avid hiker.
All those things are true.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm sorry to all of the viewers. My fingers are a little blue, not because I'm cold, but because I just dyed my hair. So nothing has settled. I literally did it 30 minutes ago, so I'm really sorry.
This is a vibe. This is a mood. We're character study. We're gonna jump into it. Linda, would you mind telling us a little bit? We're using the Crescendo of Violence system today.
Yeah. So we're using Alan Bahr's Crescendo of Violence, which is an independent system from Osprey Games. It's its own system. It uses up to 10 d10s to roll everything, which is just the most bonkers thing you could possibly do. Alan Bahr chose violence.
Love it.
So the game is it's not cyberpunk, but it is like a cyber future set in New York called Neo York, and it has the Neo Nostra mafia vibe to it. So think like neon lights. This is the game that if you wanted to play Arcane, this is what I would say you should use to play Arcane, where everything is not quite magic, but sort of in that kind of fantasy futurism setting. And it makes the distinction at the very beginning of look at these bright pink pages. They're wonderful.
Love it.
This isn't cyberpunk, and it goes into a whole little paragraph. It's just this is not cyberpunk. Don't do it. Not the vibe. Because it's really just this is cyberpunk sort of in the bottom of the heap. It's the dystopia. It's people who are really downtrodden, and this is much more about excess and the mob and the communication that people have within communities and how communities form in spite of or despite authority, and how communities emulate systems of authority within them. So it's not cyberpunk, and it is very, very clear about it, which I'm just okay.
Don't ask. We already answered. It's happening.
Not cyberpunk.
It's not.
Yeah. Love that energy. I just did that myself.
It's true.
Yeah, so it's described as a neon noir.
I love when you sent over the system, we looked at them. I saw the tagline of neon noir, and I'm like, I'm in. I'm done. Yes, this sounds fantastic. Very good.
Yeah.
Before we get jumping into the character creation itself, Linda, I'm hoping to ask just a couple of questions. First, what got you into TTRPGs? Was this something that as a kid you were this is my favorite thing to do? Were you like me, full grown adults that was oh wait, playing games with my friends is fun? What got you into it?
Oh boy, a lot of people are going to learn a lot of things about me today.
Hey, that's the show. Yeah.
Hey.
Basically when I was 10, 11, maybe 12, I got really into role playing on forums.
Okay, right on.
a lot of nerds my age. So I just sort of did that, and when I sort of got to college, and I was still doing it because it was really fun. I've met some great people, including like my best friend through forum-based text role play in various fandoms. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. So this was around 2013, 2014, just about the time that 5e came out. And I think I played it before then, but I wasn't really into it because it was one of those weird dude bro vibes. And I was like, I don't like this at all. Like this, like, where are the emotions? Like,
I need my feelings, dang it.
Where's the romance? Like, where's the drama? So I went right back to forums. And then sort of around 5e, I started actually looking into other tabletop role-playing games because I'm like, surely there's more than just this dungeon game. And that's kind of how I got into it. Yeah, and then I started writing, I think in 2017 or 2018. And I just like really loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's how I did it.
That's fantastic. I really like that. I think a lot of the times it is that sort of the common element I feel like has been, well, I started with the dragon game and then I wanted to do it more better. So I did this other thing, and like how that kind of quickly becomes a part of everyone's journey of like, well, I think is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that like I didn't start with a dragon game. I started with like forum-based like text role playing with my friends, I think, and I was doing that for, you know, like 10 years before I had even decided to like actually play Dungeons and Dragons. So D&D came late in the field for me.
Gotcha. Well, let's jump into this. Let's crescendo into some violence, shall we?
Let's backflip.
Hell yeah.
Do it all.
I love it.
Yeah, so the thing about this game is that it's like there's a huge world attached to it just because it's very, very focused on New York City. So it has this whole like it has a ton of world building, but it's like just focused and like Neo York. So there's a lot here where they're like talking about jazz and cinema, and they're just like, you really want to like have this very heightened musical like language to what you're doing. Like you want it to be very dramatic and very much like within the beats of The Sopranos, but also like very excessive.
Right.
Yeah. So what's a role-playing game?
What is a role-playing game? We've never actually answered this question on this show before. What is a role-playing game to you, Linda?
Game? That's a good question. I just think a role-playing game is wherever you commit to the bit.
Oh, hell yeah. That's the best description I think I've ever heard. My entire life is a fucking role-playing game. Let's go.
Yeah. I think a role-playing game is whatever you commit to the bit. Like that's it. Everything else is extra.
This is speaking
I like
that language so heavily.
100%. Like I don't think it's my commit to the bit is oh hey, we're gonna play a game and I have to play like 5 NPCs. I'm gonna have 12 NPCs worth of costuming around my desk so I can reach down and grab glasses because I never know when somebody's gonna ask me to play Ronald Reagan, you know, and so I'm just gonna lean into it. I love that. I think that's the best way to describe it because I think a lot of times in my normal day-to-day life, people ask, so what do you do in your free time? And I get really anxious and I'm like, I do game stuff, and they're like, oh, like what kind of games? And I'm like,
what
shit.
Kind of games?
Right.
Yeah. So the reason that I'm sort of giving some of the world building is because like that plays into the character creation. Because again, the character
100%.
creation is like so focused on the
setting
in the city,
where you are in this space, how your connections, how you're built in. That totally tracks.
Yeah. How like literally how you're plugged into the city because it's like AR is everywhere, neon is everywhere. People are doing wetware to upgrade themselves. So like you're really like literally plugged in. So who lives in New York? The elite, which are basically anyone wealthy. There's the suits, which are corporate drones, government bureaucrats, the rest. There's blues, derived from blue collar, manual labor, service industry. and they're entertainers. So the usual vibe, but like just to lay it out. They also give you a really cool list of the New York City districts, and they have like fun slang for it. So like Old York, formerly Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island, Queens, and Brooklyn, also often just called O York or Oi.
Amazing. This is very good.
It's just there's like so much of it, and then so much of like there's just tons of slang here. All right, so kind of going into that, then there's families like the Neo Nostra families, which I won't get into, but you can sort of just pick one and figure out which one you want to do.
Right.
So some like details about the lifestyle. There's like still plays, there's still jazz, there's still markets, fashion week, you know, the usual stuff that's in New York. All right. There's mega corporations in here.
You can't have I feel like at anymore you can't have games without mega corporations of some kind. Like even it's just like a nod. Because everybody's like, fuck capitalism for real.
This one, I think that this game is definitely like fuck capitalism, but it's also just like, let's brutalize capitalism. Like, let's use capitalism to like the most excessive, wealthiest, like most absurd possible iteration that capitalism could be. So I think that there's balance in this book in between people like really fighting against the system and also just being like, let's twist the system into our advantage. Whereas with a lot of like fuck capitalism books and games, it's more about like actually tearing down capitalism and like restarting the community or restarting society. And this game is much more about like how do we thrive? Like how do we like really do it all?
Right. Have our cake and eat it too.
Have our cake and eat it too. All right. So now we're on to character creation, and we have this really excellent private eye sneaking a look out of our window.
It's very good. The art's fantastic. I was saying in the green room as I was scrolling through the PDF, I was like, this is just a very pretty book.
It's a good book. It's a good book. I really like the games that Osprey Games puts out. The systems are always a little odd because they're all unique systems. But Osprey Games puts out a lot of like really cool, weird little games like this, and I don't see them mentioned very much. So, so here's some of the things that we need to think about. We need to think about where we're from in New York. We need to think about our look. We need to think about how we earn our scratch.
Ooh, I love that.
Yes. So we'll be like talking through all of these questions as we make characters, but just to sort of lay them out as we start to develop it.
Gotcha. So do we want to just start kind of working through this list and see where we go?
So we want to start with choosing our origin. So all of these will sort of impact how we create our characters. And these are just the ways that we need to think about what's important to the game and like what the game and the characters are built to function around. So stuff like, who have you hurt? How do you feel about crime? What's wrong with the city? What holds you back? And who has it out for you? So these are sort of the questions that like as we create our characters we'll sort of
keep in. Oh, this chimes in, this informs this bit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So first we're going to choose our origin, then our profession, then a third talent, because we get 2 talents from our profession, and then we will introduce our characters by answering these questions, the questions that we read out loud.
Gotcha.
So, number 1. Are you ready?
Ready for it.
Yeah, choose your origin. Where are you from? If we're typically in character study, we're do like a idealized version of our guest. We don't have to do that. We want to just like get weird and make a cool, weird little dude. That's a-okay too. But let's talk about origin.
Yeah. So origin determines background, physical origins, and where you come from. There are 5 origins: natural, bioroid, clone, Cyborg, and Gen G.
Gen G. I love it.
Yeah. So natural's just the like natural born human. They're basic, but it's kind of like the humans in D&D where they're like they're basic, but they're good at everything.
They're boring. Keep going.
They also start with like additional reserves. So if like you want a beefy character, you get a human. Bioroids are machines made to appear human. Most of the world's army, security forces, and law enforcement are composed of bioroids. So that's the vibe there. You know, an android, but like not an android.
Yeah.
We can also have clones, which are humans just grown for a specific purpose. Clones are 100% pure farm-grown flesh.
I don't like it. I don't like farm-grown flesh.
Farm-grown flesh. They are generally created to fill a specific role in society, often for tasks considering too demeaning or menial for naturals.
It's just unsettling enough, you know? Like, it's just a little off.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like clones are there's enough implications about like what future society would use clones for that it makes it like just gross enough, and I'm like good, because it's like just distant from like real world allegories, but also like you can really easily impose a lot of metaphorical weight onto like what a clone would be there for. Cyborg, which is more machine than man. Extensive cybernetic modifications into turning human frame into something more. And then Gen G is the portion of the population who have dramatically altered who they are via genetic modifications. So whereas like cyborgs is technical modifications and like machinery, Gen G is like more muscles, like more like a extremely beautiful face, like hair made of gold or something.
Right.
So those are the 5 origins.
Which one would you say resonates with you most?
I would probably say either a natural or a clone.
Gotcha. What's the toss-up between the two?
I think I really like the idea that if you're a clone, you're sort of created for a specific purpose, but you have the free will to say fuck you. Whereas with with like the naturals, it feels more like you're already given a lot of self-determination. But I like the idea of like having to explicitly fight to be recognized as like your own human, aside from like where you come from or like how you were grown.
Yeah, clone is a vibe.
It really is.
Yeah, and they also get like some good benefits. So basically there's paths which help you determine how many D10s you roll when you try and do an action. So that's what a path is. So you can either do a starting path with 2 for each path, increase 2 ratings by 2, representing the purpose they were grown for, and a third path rating by 1, representing their limited education.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Or you could do bred expertise, where clones underline one of their paths during character creation. Whenever they make a test using this underlined path, they may re-roll any dice that show a 1 once. They never roll less than 2d10 when using this path.
For a second, I thought we meant like gluten bread sort expertise, and I was like, I'm a bread expert.
I too am also. I feel very strongly about bread.
I eat bread every day.
This is very good. I feel like those.
This is funny. These are good japes, guys.
We are mostly a bread and Batman themed show. This is purely where we exist.
This is where we live.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that we got to it early on, honestly.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So yeah, let's do clone.
All right.
I'm assuming you guys are keeping track of this. Should I keep
Yes.
track?
No,
Keegan-
I got
nope,
it. I got
Keegan's
it.
got you covered. We've got a form-filled sheet that we'll be sharing with Stream too, so they can create along with us.
Woo!
Which path though? I'm curious. Are you gonna go the like
Oh, we get
down?
both of them.
Oh, you get both of them.
Oh, hell yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, because everyone gets a starting path, and then you get the bonus.
Gotcha.
with
I
it.
see. I thought you had to pick and choose. I was like, oh, that's an interesting
No.
choice. But if you get both, hell yeah, best of both worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's also like something kind of funny here. There's like a whole section that's like, are naturals underpowered? And it's just like, yes. Yes, they are.
Right.
Which I love, which is just like, even clones get like better options than naturals,
Right.
even though like the free will is a little different. So I just think it's so funny where it's just like, are naturals underpowered? It might seem like natural born humans are at a disadvantage. That's because they are.
Well, yeah, man. I can't compete with a girl who's got like gold hair. Like, no, of course not.
Yeah, science has made humanity obsolete. So if you're a natural, you've got an uphill battle ahead of you. I'm just like, it's so good. There's so many of these details where it's like, yeah, it's gonna suck for you, but like that's the struggle. So I think it's one of those things where like the GM also gives a lot of leeway to naturals when they're playing the game.
Well, and like representing for each like origin or like backstory, what have you, when games really make sure that there is some sort of tension that comes from just being right with the world itself, I think is important, right? Because like that's where the good role play comes in, right? Like that's where the fun character interactions can actually happen. If everything's hunky-dory and like very cool and we're the perfect ones, what do we really have to talk about? Like what are we really doing? So making sure that like recognizing disadvantages and advantages and just being honest about it. Like, yeah, buddy, you have just regular old meat flesh and you were just born here and like that's it. Good luck and Godspeed.
Yeah, I just like it. I just think that there's something really nice about like if you're a human and you haven't been keeping up, you're gonna fall behind. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's great.
It's a good game.
So next we've got a profession.
Yeah, so your profession is what you do, the skills you've learned, how you made your living. The profession will give you a bonus to one path, and you get to choose in between two options. It will also give you a cred rating and 2 talents from a list of options and a special ability that only those of that profession have.
Hell yeah.
So,
okay.
There are 7 professions in the game: criminal, hacker, holostar, investigator, musician, suit, and veteran.
What are we feeling?
It's a good question.
This is such a tattletale on myself. Every time I see something where it's like an entertainer or a bard, I'm like, what's that one? Like,
yeah.
Let me read more about that one.
I'm a holostar.
So holostar is kind of like what if influencers actually had power?
Uh-huh.
So it's like holostars are those who have appeared in enough hollows or neons to be recognized by regular consumers of the medium, and probably not the average passerby on the street. So influencer, but also like actor.
Mm-hmm.
Holostars often tried to corporations for whom they serve as spokespeople and pretty faces to go alongside their ubiquitous product placement.
Good word.
Mm-hmm. Often their careers are bought and paid for by mob bosses long before they ever appear in a holo play. And then
that's very good. It breaks down through the like why you're on the outs and all of that stuff. Is there one that speaks to you like in particular, Linda? Like if you were just coming to this game, you've played it before, but like as you're coming to the game, was it just that like, no, do you have a main class where you're just like, I'm this guy? Like when I play TTRPGs, I'm this guy.
Yeah, I'm usually kind of a brawler.
Okay. All right.
I'm usually, if I ever like don't know what I'm gonna do, I'm just like, I'm just gonna be like a big beefy boy.
Yep.
That's kind of always my go-to. If we wanted to do like a really idealized version of myself, though, I would do an investigator.
Ooh, that's very interesting. Say more about that.
Well, I like figuring stuff out. And obviously for my work, I'm a journalist, and a lot of my job is doing investigations and like talking to people and pulling together work and writing stuff up and figuring out what information to give out and what information not to give out. So that's really tied into like my 9 to 5. And then just like as an investigator, kind of the thing is like you really have to, in the game, you have to work for yourself as an investigator, so you are not tied to any corporations. You can't be tied to, like, you can't really have those attachments to mob bosses because it would just compromise your ability to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that being like very resident in my own like 9 to 5, I really like the idea where it's just like you are going to make things harder for yourself because you are going to have to stick to morals and ethics. And it's
right. You did this. You did this.
You did this. You and your
chose this
darn
for
ethics.
yourself.
You and your sense of right and wrong.
Oof, buddy. This is gonna get you every time.
Right.
It's that it's like it's being on the high road and just getting the shit kicked out of you, being like, but I'm here and we're doing it.
Yeah. So I think that's probably it, because like there have been a lot of points in my life where I've just like left jobs or left relationships or left like places where it's like, this doesn't feel good. This is actually like actively bad. And it was like really hard at different points in time. So it's one of those things where it's just like, ugh, you're gonna be good, but you're gonna suffer for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a vibe a lot of people can relate to, and I think that's really important for an investigator. And I'm sure there's like something happening where it's like you are actually tied to the mob, you son of a bitch. So yeah, let's do investigator. I will say that usually when I would play, the last time I played this game, I was like a boxer turned like mob stooge / security worker.
Love it. Very good.
So good. He was big and brawly, and he had brass knuckles embedded into his knuckles.
Oh hell yeah.
That rocks.
Hell yeah. It really does. It's such a vibe. Like
He was
it's just
very hot.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. 100% he was. Did he crack his knuckles all the time? Like was like, oh, it's about to go down.
Oh yeah, only like at the start, like when it was like something was about to get fucked.
Oh yeah.
Up.
Yeah, you knew it, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And of course he was in love with like a jazz musician, and it's like a whole thing.
Right. But of course it is. Of course it is. I love it.
Yeah. So if anyone ever wants to run this game for me again, I will bring my boy back.
We've got a beefy boy with some very good knuckles.
Yeah,
so.
A beefy boy who's very sad and just trying to send money out to the country for his like sick sister. Like a very
I love it.
Every single trope that I could possibly like put in, I was just like, gonna do it. Every single one.
This is a bit of a tangent, but this is kind of what the show is about. There's something so wholly satisfying about stringing exactly what you said. I just want to pull in every single trope I can. I want this person to feel like they are the main character of 6 different animes and it somehow all makes sense. I want like all of it. Give me all the drama. And then I'm going to spill every single bean 10 minutes into the session. I want you to know exactly who I am.
I want you to know all of my trauma immediately.
Yes. Tell all your secrets. Like whenever I play games and we've got like people with like big dark backstories, it's like, okay, but you gotta tell me everything about it or it won't be interesting to me for very long. And so when you find somebody who's like, yeah, I'm doing it, the best.
Yeah.
The best.
It's like fictional trauma dumping, and it's just, that's actually good. It's like the good kind of trauma dumping.
Yes, then you can get into it. And like that for me, like it is more that role playing side where it's like now we can have the conversations about our sisters who are sick, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. So if anyone ever wants to play this game and wants like a big beefy boxer who's like sad all the time and like messy, stressy, depressing, I have got
Linda, I gotta know his name though. I gotta know his name.
His name was Gustin.
Fucking hell yes! That's a very good name. You did Gustin? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And he went by Gus, and his father's name was August.
Oh my gosh. This is very good.
Yeah.
I love Gustin. I'm already Gustin's biggest fan.
Yeah.
This is excellent. But let's talk about our current character, our investigator with a sense of moral justice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. Is it okay if I read from this? Is this normal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I don't want to break the format.
No,
you're good.
There's not really a format.
The format is more truly it is like, okay, let's sit down and make characters. Let's talk. Let's ask questions. Let's go on whatever weird tangent we just want to feel out in that moment. Oh yeah, right. We're making a character. Let's keep doing that.
Nice. So for all these characters, there's like a little graph, and then there's a question, why are you on the outs? So you sort of have to figure out like why you're stressy, depressy, messy.
Love it.
So investigators can be law enforcement, corporate fixers, privately licensed or local vigilantes. People employ an investigator when they need something unsavory dug up. It doesn't play great, but it's a living. An investigator generally works for themselves in the long run, though they often have corporate, law enforcement, or criminal clients aplenty. A savvy investigator knows how to thread that dangerous needle, maintaining a careful balance between all the groups who might vie for their attention. And then the question, why are you on the outs? You could be working for the police as a corporate investigator employed by any of the numerous world agencies. So why don't you work for someone else? Why are you scrounging month over month in a dingy apartment with your name half peeling off the door?
It's a great question.
Yeah. So let me double check because I think that we picked one. Yeah. All right. So I'm pretty sure that these are examples.
Yeah.
Oh, this is very funny. Like, I still have dye on my hands, so I'm like leaving like
oh no,
blue, like fingerprints all over my book.
Yeah, I know that life. And when I had my hair blue for a good grip of time, and my whole hands, my whole palms, my mouse is still stained blue. Like it's everywhere. It gets everywhere.
It does get everywhere. I don't mind it though. It's kind of a nice color.
In the YouTube chat, Tony right now is saying, how long are we going to pretend like we're not about to play this game on stream so we can see Gustin? And I want it to be clear, we will eventually. I'm obsessed with Gustin.
I love Gustin.
Gus was really good. He was a good boy. Oh my god, wait. He was like so big. He was like, he had a nickname, Gus the Bus, because he would just like go through everybody. It's
very good. It's very good. It's just very good. Like again, like you want like
just very good.
That's what you want though. Like you want to hit the note and like have it just resonate. And when you say Gus the Bus, and how I immediately have the visual in my mind's eye and like can call with like deep detail in my soul, having never met Gustin with my eyes before, exactly what that felt like when Gus the Bus did something. Like, yeah, that's it. You've written a story with 3 words, and I'm very proud of you. Like that's good character work.
We're closing our eyes. We're rotating Gustin in 3D.
I have been creating characters and role-playing games for 20 years, so
right
I'm pretty good at just like nailing down all of the things that I love more than life itself.
Right.
Okay.
So with these, some of these are juicy, I gotta say. Like I'm reading through these examples. They're real good. The top one, where was it? And just the phrasing, the writing here is very fun. Like all good detective stories, this one starts with a cheating spouse, missing gun, and a citywide corruption scandal. Unlike all good stories, this one ends with you catching a bullet in the head, unless you can solve it. Fantastic.
It's like this book knows the noir genre. Like this book, the Alan Bahr has like read Dashiell Hammett, like understands this kind of like twisted turn of phrase where it's like all good stories, unlike all good stories. Like that's just like classic detective novels from like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So this book knows exactly where its inspirations are and are just like, yeah, so this is Chinatown, but like in the year 3000. And it just like really, it dials in, and I'm just like, it's very good. And I really appreciate that this book does have a lot of those like literary leanings to it, because it's very nice to read.
Right.
Kind of exactly what you said, where it's like all the good detective stories, unlike all good stories.
Yeah, it's just it's got a nice ring to it. Out of these examples, are any of them in particular like this is the vibe? Because we've got a spread. I gotta solve this case or I'm gonna die. We got a little bit of like revenge, sort of. I gotta solve this case because my dead partner couldn't. And then the third one being I've got to solve, or I've got to do better because I framed somebody and now I feel the big bads about it, which immediately, again, flavor your characters in very different ways.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, like these are examples and you can pull something out. I think I'm going to go with number 1 because I am probably, sorry.
You're good.
It's all good.
I think if we're like fully going into like idealized Linda, I'm going to play the investigator like a reporter.
Okay. Love it. I think that's fantastic.
So we're going to go with number 1, which is like all good detective stories. I can't show my face too much or be too flashy until I get it figured out, which is very much like, that's exactly what my job is like, where it's just like, I keep everything very close to my chest. Like I do all the work, I get all the sources. And then as soon as I'm ready and I'm like, yeah, I can destroy a man with this one.
I can destroy Wizards of the Coast.
And it is time.
Go. I cast fireball.
I didn't ask the dimensions of the room. I said cast fireball.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get a +1 to empathetic and resolute. Did I already do that? Oh, I already did this. Never mind. Look at me go.
Yeah, awesome. And our cred rating is 1d10, which is the lowest cred rating. It means we're very poor. It means
excellent.
It means we don't have like any means whatsoever.
Rip.
Yeah, it's also very ironic that the veteran also has 1d10.
Oof.
Yeah, there's some narrative there. There's some dialogue to be had.
There's some good stuff. And then we can choose 2 talents. So the talents are different than the paths, the skill paths. So the skill paths are cautious, clever, dramatic, empathetic, fast, resolute, sneaky, and violent. And those are the ways that you resolve problems in the narrative, because you use those paths as like, oh, I'm going to take like the violent path, or oh, I'm going to take the clever path to try and solve this problem. And that's determines how many d10s you roll. And then you get extra talents, which are a little bit more narrative.
Okay.
So the talents are all on 106.
Cool.
Gotcha.
And then we're going to choose 2 from Bounty Hunter, Drifter, Hard to Kill, Law Enforcement, and Maverick.
All right. Let's get into it. Let's look at some talents.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Keegan, there's one that's fast as hell, and I know we can't talk about it right now, but I just need you to know that I saw it, and I'll not stop thinking about it now.
Yeah, when we play later, you can take it. It's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, this game is really cool because it basically uses you, in order to like do actions, you get like action tokens. So you there's like a kind of a gambling aspect to like the narrative. So you sort of have to figure out like, okay, like when do I hold my actions? When do I use my actions? Like how do I use them? So it's kind of like in Blades in the Dark with like you choose your positioning. But instead of like the GM choosing your positioning, it's you deciding like, okay, now I'm gonna go fast.
Love
like,
it.
Now I'm gonna fuck shit up. All right, let's see. I think I want hard to kill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love hard to kill. This is great.
Yeah. Hard to kill for sure. So for each rank in this talent, count your resolute as one higher when resisting damage.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then we get one more, right?
Yes. I don't think I want bounty hunter. And I don't want law enforcement.
Yeah, because all cops bad.
All cops bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have been Maverick.
I was hoping you said that one because I read the first line of it and I was like, ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. And I loved it. So just for chat's benefit, when someone tells you not to do something risky, foolish, or dramatic, you must spend a reserve or attempt to go out and do it at some point during the session. However, you gain an extra reserve at the start of each session. And that energy in like a TTRPG game,
yeah,
chef's kiss, so good.
Yeah, where it's like you don't have to do it immediately, but you do have to do it. Like you just sort of have to like hold that one close and just like eventually I'm gonna do the thing that you told me not to do, but you can't be mad at me about it.
Yeah. Like I'm built
baby.
different. The fuck you, I won't do what you tell me energy is just very good.
We love it. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Next, we get a special ability.
Hell yeah.
When you make a test while trying to gather information, question others, or put together the pieces of puzzle, together, you may spend reserve to gain 1d10 on it. Okay. So basically a test is like any of the skill checks are just called tests. So if you're like doing your active investigation, you can like spend a reserve, which is basically your health, to push yourself more or less, and like get an extra d10.
Sorry, which talent was this? I got lost.
Oh, we're taking hard to kill and Maverick.
Okay, cool. I do have those. I just want to make sure I didn't miss one.
Yep, nope, you're good.
Cool. Thank you.
All right.
And I think that I don't know if we have to answer these questions yet. These might be like good for character building afterwards.
Gotcha. But these are kind of the background building sort of and I love, again, it's just these are the cross character kind of vibes of who once bailed you out when you got it over your head. Like more and more I see this in games and it makes me so happy because character creation becomes less of something that happens inside a vacuum and more an active community with your table, which is really what TTRPGs are for, in my humble opinion. But it's really exciting to see when like the questions make you go, oh, like what happened? What was it? And like adds that sense of intrigue.
Yeah, so I mean, we can say these questions because we're not going to be creating other characters. So these are the ways that we basically where a lot of characters have like, or a lot of systems have like strings or you know, bonds or whatever. These just have this role-playing game just has questions.
Yeah.
The 3 questions for the investigator are: who here did you encounter during the course of an investigation? Were you investigating them? What were you investigating?
Who
once bailed you out when you got in over your head? And then who is the drinking buddy that you vent to after a particularly rough job?
I love these. Awesome.
Yeah, this paints like a very specific character and I just really like it.
It does, and I like it speaks, but also like Linda, you picked the clone. So I would ask, was your clone designed to be an investigator? Because you've also got the Maverick that's like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Yeah.
So like, how do those
yeah.
pieces fit together? I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, I think that the clone was like done to be a researcher, like a data scientist kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
Just sort of like someone who's just supposed to be in the archives and pull out information when asked for that information, and like not supposed to analyze it, not supposed to critique it, not supposed to like try and put anything together. Like just a clone to do like the most banal data entry and like data recovery and archiving. That's not at all interesting, but you still need someone to actually do it, because like the AI can't really like make those leaps, and it would take too long for a robot to do it. And also like some of the archives are physical.
Right.
So I think that's what this character was originally supposed to do. And then they just said, you know what? Fuck this.
I don't think so.
I don't think this is happening for me anymore. So I think that's why this character is getting hard to kill and maverick, because it's just like clone, and then also like screw you guys.
Right.
I'm out of here.
I'm gonna go analyze the shit out of this stuff, and you can't tell me nothing.
Take down corporations.
Love it.
Baby.
All right. So the next step is to choose a third talent.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to the 2 that we got from our profession, we get to choose a third one, which can be anything you want. The world is your oyster.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just scrolling through the talents right now, and there's truly so many just great names in here.
Yes. I'm trying to figure out like which one would I do. There are some great names. Gun Fu.
I know. It's just very good.
Yeah.
Which one do you think rounds it out?
It's tough because like there's kind of one thing where it's just like there's a sleuth talent here, where it's like you're an expert investigator with a nose for evidence. You gain plus 1d10 on tests made to gather evidence at a scene or question witnesses. So something like that is just really good, and like really good for if you wanted to like metagame a little bit. And I have nothing against metagaming. Like if you're gonna do like I'm an investigator, you take sleuth and you
the investigator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lean in.
Yeah. So there's so many good ones. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, I'm just gonna lean in. There's a couple other ones here that are like really good. As you guys probably could have guessed, Gus the Bus took large.
Love it. I love it because they have large and they also have small. This is your talent. This is what you are good at. I love it.
I mean, I think it's very good that like a lot of these physical talents are attached to talents that you can like take on rather than like your origin.
Yes,
because
100%.
It really does a good job of like saying like some like you can be literally like you can have a talent in literally any of these things. You just have to you get one, you can take it.
Right.
And I think it does a really good job of sort of being like you get something inherent about yourself like within the way that like society sees you, but like you can determine how your character develops. And I'm just like, it's very smart. Like it does a lot of good work without actually like spelling it out for you. It's very good. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do sleuth. I'm an expert investigator with a nose for evidence.
Nice.
Gain 1d10. Yeah.
This is a bit tangential. Keegan, are any of these? Did you read any of those and go, that one? I like this one in particular.
Ooh.
Oh God. Give me a minute and I'll look through them. I've been trying to like copy paste things as we go.
Yeah, I already said mine, but mine the fastest all hell. I love it. Like I think that's fantastic. Getting to like do the things.
Oh, actually, yeah, no, I know. If I were building a character, I would grab fearsome reputation. It's not even like a hard question for me.
Amazing.
Yeah, it immediately, the very first line of Fearsome Reputation is, "You are known as a person of violence and decisive action." I'm just like,
Getting it done.
I just
got it.
watched John Wick for the first time, like last
Oh,
month.
you could build John Wick out of this perfectly because
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
Fearsome Reputation
There's gun
and
fu.
there's gun fu.
Done. You'd be done. What is it? Like literally, you pick probably what veteran
And
would
then
be my
killer.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
Mhm.
get, oh my gosh, wait, let's see what the veterans get.
No, we're doing
Hold
it.
please, everyone, while we build John Wick
Hold
real
please,
quick.
John Wick is coming.
Favorite weapon, hard to kill, killer, sniper, and tough as nails.
Ooh, yeah. So obviously killer. And probably tough as nails sounds
It's
right.
got. I was gonna read tough as nails to ensure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we play this, I'll play
It's
John Wick.
very good.
Yeah. You gain +1 to violent and +1 to resolute. And I'm just like, Mr. Wick. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could easily play literally any, like,
Mhm.
every single John Wick character could be built in Crescendo of Violence.
Yeah, there's
Which
just
is very
it's
good.
John Wick but with more jazz, and I'm really into that.
John Wick,
Oh my
but, like,
gosh.
with a like more musical language to it. And I'm like,
So somebody earlier in the chat said the phrase jazz paladin, and I was like, that's very good.
Jazz
very
Paladin. Ooh. Yeah.
I know how I responded to
Very good.
that. I'm not
We're not
saying
talking about that, Keegan.
I mean,
very
honestly,
good.
a sax cleric is really good to me.
Ooh. Yeah. This is very good.
Yeah.
This is very good.
Yeah. You could do like a
Um,
really great barfly rogue.
Yeah.
build
I
out.
think this speaks though to like when a system has a voice, when it has a vibe that like really and you can immediately like, oh, I get it, and start spinning out to other touchstones that you have to really weave in something. That's always so rewarding. And what's
Yeah.
really cool about playing other systems, because I feel like the more systems you play, the more you are able to connect those dots between the game that you want to play, the media that inspires you, or the content that inspires you, and finding the right system for like what you want to do. Like just play games is really the answer, but it's always really exciting. Like there are so many talented creators in the TTRPG space really hitting those notes, and bringing in those touchstones and embedding them in the game, so you can actually like connect and be like, oh yeah, immediately it's oh my god, no, it's John Wick.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's just like a lot of like good things you can do. And I think what I also really like about this game is like obviously with the investigator, I went very much like, okay, I'm a reporter and I'm going to play it that way. But you could easily do an investigator as like a detective. You could go like a Rick Deckard route with like Blade Runner here.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's even within like all of the little professions, there's a lot of ways and a lot of options that they give you to like make it really custom because it is so open narratively. Like you could probably do like an insurance claims adjuster as like an investigator.
Very good.
Would be hilarious, especially if like you work for like the mob.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of a classic, isn't it?
Oh
It is a
man,
classic, yeah.
it's very good. All right, so it looks like the last step in the character creation process is to introduce your characters, and then going through that list of questions that are provided. I want to kind of go up to the goal of the character though and kind of revisit some of those, but I feel like we're at a good little break point. We've been streaming for about an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, like 5-ish minutes. We're gonna refill our drinks, we're gonna recharge, retune, and then we encourage everybody in chat to do the same, and then we'll be back to answer some of these questions.
Cool. Be back in 5, everyone.
Bye.
And look at that, we're back.
Woo! We are back. We've got Linda here. We're walking through creating a character in Crescendo of Violence, a game of neon noir realness. It is not cyberpunk, so don't ask.
Don't even try it.
Don't even.
Don't even think about it. There's so many cyberpunk games out there. This is not one of them.
This isn't it. So move along, little doggy, if that's what you're looking for. But if you're not looking for that, then you found the right place. Please stay. We've made a character. Linda, what would you want to name this character?
It's a good.
We've got a good vibe. We've got some, but we don't really have a lot of concrete deets.
Yeah, I think that this is this character is a clone
Mm-hmm.
who's also an investigator, and sort of like rebelled against their programming, or like, ooh, this is gonna be a bad word. I'm gonna say it. Breeding. That's it. That's a reaction.
Yeah, you're right, but
I mean, like it's correct, and it like emphasizes how gross some of parts of the setting are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, rebelled against their breeding to become sort of a private investigator. So it's a good question. What is their name? I think I want a very gender neutral name, or like a name that's like, yeah, gender could be used for either female or male gendered people. Okay.
It's the names for me whenever I'm making characters, like it takes me, the name's the hardest part. Like it takes me a long time. Rarely do I have a name when I start out. It's always I have to build the lore of this person, and then I have the pronunciation of the name that for whatever reason speaks to me when I hear it and think of this person.
Yeah, let's go.
I was gonna say
you're good. Take your time. Keegan's laughing at me for some reason, which isn't new.
I have this problem where I'm just like non-binary in all my characters. I'm like, their name's Concrete. I don't think about it a second time. I just throw a noun.
Their name is Concrete.
Yep. We throw a noun at the sheet. We call it a day. We don't think twice about it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. This character's name is Wake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
See, in the truth, it works every time. It works.
There you go.
But that works so good. That works so good. That works too good. Ah.
Sarah losing their mind over
I
here.
freaking love it though, because but this is why I love their creative process and finding things. And yeah, sometimes it is so simple as just saying this is what it is. Rarely is it for me. I'm always like, let's get on a name simulator. We're gonna spend 20 minutes. No, none of this. I want half of that one and 3/4 of this. We're gonna smush them together, and that's my person.
And we're gonna add 2 more syllables to it.
100%.
And we're gonna change at least one of the vowels.
Their name's Blizzard, and they like ice cream. I could do this literally all day.
It's two very different approaches, both effective, both very good. But we've got Wake, which is phenomenal. And what does Wake look like? We talked a little bit about they were cloned to be sort of a data analyst, so I imagine that there's some particular looks to that. But
yeah, I think that they're kind of tall and lanky, maybe relatively unassuming. I think that Wake blends into the background kind of wherever they go. I think that they dress very neatly, but they have if they ever wear a suit, the pinstripes are neon or something, there's always a little bit of flash to it that they just really love. So there's always one thing in Wake's outfit that's oh, interesting.
Right. They just can't help themselves.
Yeah, it's never enough to draw that much attention to Wake, but it's just enough that Wake feels really good about it.
Ooh. I like this. And does Wake earn their scratch, as the book says it, which is just Chef's kiss, so good.
Yeah.
Do they do that through private investigation? Do they have another gig?
Yeah. So we sort of said, and like we're sort of following like they're a reporter
Mhm.
because we're sort of like modeling them Wake
Mhm.
on me. So there's a couple options here. Wake could be like a citizen journalist, like doing private
Okay.
investigations and like putting it up on blogs and like running kind of like 2 steps above a gossip rag. Like, you know, those gossip instas like Dumois
Mhm.
and stuff, like 2 or 3 steps above that, where it's like investigating corporations and stuff. But still basically like an individual blog. Um Actually, let's do that. Yeah.
Ooh.
I was like,
You
that's
know,
so good. What else could we do here?
Like, but that's the thing. Sometimes it's like, nope, we got it on the first try. Good job, us. We're done.
Yeah.
We crushed it.
do it. So yeah, I would say Wake runs like a data stream kind of thing that people can sort of plug into and get like updates. But
Do they have like a snarky or flashy name for their data stream? You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't know yet.
Well, think about that. That's a
Wait,
good one.
it's the drift.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Thank you for leaning into Wake. That makes me very happy.
The drift. Yeah.
It's very good. Ugh.
And I
Okay,
think
so
one of the things that like sets the drift apart from other feeds is that a lot of
Mhm.
feeds are constant. You know, a lot of feeds like are continually trying to like put out as much content as possible and like fill the airwaves, like fill up this space. But Wake makes it like really, really clear, like, no, it's just me. I'm
Mhm.
doing like deep investigations and you will just have to wait.
Right. In time. Do you feel like that in your profession, like that need to constantly produce reports
Oh,
and items and like
every
how do
day.
you how do you feel about that? How do you balance that?
Yeah. It's one of those things where that's just like part of working a breaking news desk, which I do, is that I do a lot of service journalism, which means James Gunn tweets something and I have to write about it.
Mhm.
I wish I were joking, but I'm not. Like
No,
that's
it's
real
true.
We know. Did you see though like us be like cuz like we know.
a real
It's
life.
the way of it.
So a lot of what I do is like service journalism, where it's like we need to put stuff up on the site fast so we get clicks, so we generate ads, because we're an ad supported site. We're totally free, which is great, but it also means that we like
need
blood for the SEO gods, you know.
right. Mhm.
So that's often very frustrating, and like I've said it before at multiple venues, like definitely having to produce that really fast, quick, like 30 to 40 minutes worth of content gets in the way of doing longer form, more important investigative journalism and work.
Mhm. Right.
So I really like the idea of Wake just like, no, I'm only
Mhm.
doing good work and
I
you can
like
wait
that.
for it.
Mhm. Or like get stuff other places,
Yeah.
but the drift takes time. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I sort of like the whole we're sticking to our guns thing, also knowing that Wake has 1 D10 for their cred rating.
It's beautiful though, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's
it
not
just it does
wrong.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, and it's also like that also like ties into like the Maverick thing that we gave
Yeah.
Wake, where Wake is like, I know how to be successful in this business and I'm gonna do it my way anyway.
Right. Like it truly is just the biggest like fuck off to all of the stuff and all of these things that you're supposed to be
Mhm.
successful. And just kind of going line by line down it and being, do I want to do it that way? No. Do I want to do it that way? No. And making the choices that feel right for them. Do you think
Yeah.
that was like, was there an event that made them like that, or was it just they've always kind of been that way?
I think it's one of those things like when they left the archives, when they first like got their start, they definitely like
Mhm.
had to work a breaking news desk. Because I think that they sort of like sold their skills as like, yeah, I'm a fast writer. I can do like research really fast and put me on a news desk and I'll turn around pieces. And then they realize this is horrible, actually. This is the worst.
I hate it.
I hate it. But yeah, I think that like that's how they got started, and sort of maybe they did that for 4 or 5 years and like did it in a couple of places. Like they might have done gossip rags, they might have done actual like breaking news. But yeah, I think that like it took a while for them to realize like if I just like stick to my guns, I can write and do good journalism on my own and sort of like just do it. And I think that like it's really cool to me that Wake has like a little like support my work button like on their like they're on the drift. Like it's kind of like a Substack sort of thing. Yeah,
this is very good.
I think that they're a citizen journalist and they rely on completely anonymous donations.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
With that in mind, because I have a feeling could be a really cool answers to this question. Is it the who have you hurt in this role? Is it like a more personal question? Is it a career kind of question for Wake? Like, is it they left someone behind in the archives? You know what I mean? Or is it more they went after a corporation and now have a target on their back kind of vibe?
That's a good question. I think that's hard. I don't know. Who have they hurt? I think that they've probably hurt themselves. If we're gonna like go this route, I think that they've really made life harder for themselves, kind of on purpose.
Yeah.
This tracks.
And I think that it's one of those things where like they don't have very many friends, they don't have a lot of support, and they've really like, in addition to like the system just being cruel, they have made clear choices to like rebel against the system, and they've made choices to like pursue their work and their career above other choices.
Then participating in the system, filling that role, being rewarded for doing those things. And I have to ask this question because they've got like the larger question with smaller ones underneath it, and this one's just too juicy not to ask.
Yeah.
But would they do it again?
Absolutely. In a second.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Wake has regrets about how it all worked out, but I don't think that they would change it. I think that they're like, yeah, I could have done it better, but like I learned a lot, and like I'm better for the experience, and I would not change it.
One thing I'm gonna tie it back, like that idea right there, where it's like yes, I could have done it better, but I did the best I could in the moment. I think TTRPGs help us play that sentence out over and over again, where it's just that in that safe place of here's the choice, what do you do? And a lot of times it's really easy to get paralyzed by the indecision of like, I don't know which ability to use, or but like being able to like do the thing and commit to the thing, and like as you play more games, realizing like it's gonna be okay, like you can make the choice and it's gonna be fine. And kind of removing that pressure, and to see like characters coming in with that sort of thing, it's just there's something in the human being that's really rewarding, and why I like TTRPGs as much as I do, right? Is it's that safe place to do those kinds of things, to learn the lesson of like you're just doing the best with the information that you have, and that's okay. And it like helps make life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta realize that like you're gonna flub some dice rolls in game and out of game.
Big facts, buddies. How do you feel about crime?
I think that they realize that some crime is necessary to survive. But I think that they really, it's like the corporate crime. It's like the crime that affects society. that's the crime that they are like really like, that's what they really hate. That's what like really gets under their skin.
Is it
So,
where does that kind of come from, do you think? Is it from the fact that they were maybe made by a corporate entity?
yeah, it absolutely comes from the fact that they're a clone and they were supposed to do something like a certain way, and they were allowed to be treated that way because of like the laws and like the society and structure.
Kind of like a big brother or like big daddy Warbucks kind of vibes. Like that's the almost like a parental figure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I love it.
Yeah. I think that there's like also part of this question was like organized crime, and like there's part of organized crime that is bad, and I think that Wake is still struggling to separate individual criminals from like organized crime. I think that that's something where they are still trying to figure out where that line is. Like,
do you think
at what point are you actually complicit in the system? Like at what point are you in the system, or like at what point are you just like being used by the system? I think that that's a big struggle for Wake.
Would you say we're in it now? Would you say Wake is like but like a black and white type person? Like, or is it shades of, like, clearly it's shades of gray if they're like an investigator and understand that, but like, is there like, are they fighting a nature around that, or is it just like it generally comes easy to them?
I think that they struggle with it. I think that it's definitely, they would like for there to be a right answer. And they're constantly trying to find like the best, the right, the good answer to all of like these problems. But I think that they consistently like run up against the fact that like there very rarely are good answers.
Right. Oh, there's the question, what's wrong with this city? What do you think is the biggest issue in New York? If you could what would you fix first if you had all the power in your hands? What's the biggest detriment to living here, and how do you deal with it day to day?
I think wealth is what's wrong with the city. I think that if there was a way to like, Wake would, if given like all the money in New York, would sort of do their best to distribute it like completely equitably. Like everyone gets the same amount kind of thing. I think that they really feel very, very strongly that the biggest detriment to living in the city is the fact that it will grind you to dust and spit you out. And it's like, it's not an empathetic place to live. It is that you can sort of like carve out little communities and little spaces for yourself. But I think that as someone who struggles to like build those communities and struggles to like find friends and support, Wake really, really feels very strongly that the city is just not built for people anymore. It's just not built. It's built for corporations. It's built for the mob. It's built for like organized crime. It's not built for people.
How much which gives me a question of how much of the donations to Wake's like work actually go to Wake? Like how much of that is just redistributed out?
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
I think that they would love to redistribute it.
Right.
I think it's like they're pretty.
It's kind of like the dream board, like vision kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think most of it does go to Wake. I think that like every now and then they get, they buy cat food for the local strays or something. But
I love it.
But I think most of it is pretty dedicated to making sure that Wake has a little apartment and also has food.
Yep, food's important. Turns out.
Important. Yep.
We've got a couple more questions here. What holds you back? Do you have chronic bad luck? Do you have a bad reputation, deserved, undeserved? Past trauma. This is where this is where the character stuff really starts to happen.
Yeah. What holds Wake back? I think what holds Wake back is like resources. Like I think that they're good at their job, or they're good at what they want to do, which is sort of a job.
Yeah.
But I think really what holds them back is the fact that like they're still figuring it out. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're kind of like just bumbling along a little bit. So I think resources, like a lack of experience, that kind of like I'm really determined to do this. Like I'm going to do it, even if I fuck up all the time.
Yeah.
I think
this brings in the question, how old is Wake?
That's a good question.
That's an interesting question with the clone, especially, where it's like, were they cloned as an adult or a child?
Yeah. I want to say Wake mid-40s.
Okay. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. And still figuring stuff out. I think that like mid-40s and still figuring stuff out, and like not really like upset about the fact that that's what they're doing, but more upset about the fact that they can't do it better.
Yeah.
That's relatable.
Oh no. Oh no, Keegan. Oh no.
Oops.
I think too, like age of characters, I think, is always like I always get to that when I'm making mine and go, oh shit, how old are they? Because I think it can be it can change the impact of the different like themes and elements that you're pulling into a character, right? Someone who hasn't got it figured out at like 19 is like, well, yeah, duh, you're 19. Like, you're going to be fine. Someone who doesn't have it figured out later in life is a different picture. And like, there's a lot more like conversation to be had, maybe, or maybe not. But getting to play with that particular aspect of like age or perception of age, because even they've got the different, I'm imagining some of the Gen Z, Gers have like, they might be like genetically modifying themselves to like live super long or whatever is trendy when it comes to age, right? And like how that can kind of play a factor into all of it.
Yeah, I also like making them like slightly older, or on the like the more mature side, because it really plays into that vibe of kind of like the grizzled old investigator, which is also like a good vibe. Just someone who's like a little too sick of all this shit. But is still doing it.
It's not 2 weeks away from retirement, but often wakes up thinking about how nice it would be to retire one day. Like that kind of space.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Imagine retiring as a freelancer.
Oof. Listen.
I shouldn't say
I believe in Wake
sometimes.
I'm excited for this. All right. And we've got the last question in this given list, but we have more questions elsewhere. Who has it out for you? What enemies lie in your past? How did your paths cross? When did you last see them? And do they tie you? It says to any other PCs, but I would say maybe any other institutions.
Yeah, I think the easiest for Wake is that like the archive where they used to work is like, would love to have them back.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Is it like a friendly Mr. Rogers, like leaving brownies at their door being like, we miss you in the office? Or is it more like a nefarious, like, we miss you at the office?
Yeah, I think I don't know quite how. I think that there's got to be something here where like Wake is a disenfranchised individual because they are a clone. Like there's part of that like comes from the fact that there's like systems in place that allow people to clone human beings in order to have them serve a fundamental menial purpose within society. So I think that there's something about that that's like icky and weird and gross and bad. And I think that it's one of those things where it's like legally they can't tell you can't quit,
Right.
But legally, they can also force you to stay.
Right. The larger systems, and kind of speaking to Wake's frustration of like, this is not an environment that is meant for people. It's meant for cogs within the system itself, and how it kind of is robbing of identity and pushing that theme there.
Yeah, so I think that corporation for sure. I think that like maybe there's like a minor crime organization that I took down very early in my career, and those remnants are still around and have like those individual people have either hooked up with like a new family, you know.
Yeah.
So there's like sections of that family that like are not keen on me. And I think that there's also like, we'll say that there's like some law enforcement out there.
Ooh.
Just like does not like having the drift up and running. I'm gonna say that like
very good.
I really hope that one of the PCs is a hack. One of the other like PCs is a hacker, and they would be able to like keep the drift locked down.
Ooh,
that's good.
Yeah,
I do like that.
I sort of like the idea that the drift is like the party's, like a thing the party is responsible for. Like, you're writing it, yes, but the hackers, like keeping it up and XYZ.
Yeah.
There, you've got like the Hollow Star, who's like the face of the drift, sort of a thing. So like Wake is like the actual behind the scenes like heart and soul. But you've got someone who's kind of like the face, taking credit for it and going to all of these like events to try and get more funds for it. You know what I mean? And make it a legitimate source of some kind.
That's
I love it.
Great. Yeah. Oh, I also there's like a suit. So one of the professions is suit, which is literally like you work for a corporation, government, or similar organization. So it would, and the questions for this are really good. It's like your ethics got in the way of a business deal with some shady characters and you got pushed out. It's like one of the options. So it would be really, really good if we had like a hacker to help keep the drift up. We had a Hollow Star to be like the face of the drift, even if they did like had like some like face changing thing, like
software or whatever.
Star. And then we had like a suit that was like feeding us insider information.
So good.
I'm
good.
Obsessed with this theoretical party.
It's very good. I also have to throw in here too. I love the idea of Wake having what's equivalent to like the Cabbage Man, where Wake through like their efforts are just constantly screwing over this like one really small fish in a big pond criminal.
Oh my God.
And like this guy has just gone from like con to con trying to like level up their game.
Yeah.
And like the Wake, just for whatever reason, keeps absolutely wrecking. Or it's the equivalent in Daredevil. It's the one gun dealer guy in this
just, like,
in the series. Yeah,
Yeah.
like just like almost like this person's going about their day. They look over and see Wake and they're just like, oh fuck. Like it's just that constant dread.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely like someone there who's like run a gambling ring that Wake busted, and then they went and they like tried to fix horse races and got busted. Got busted, and then they were like smuggling guns across neighborhoods.
Yes.
And Wake showed up and was like,
"Yep,
what are you doing?" And the guy, and this poor guy is just like, "Hey, it's a living," and Wake is just
yes, 100%.
I like the shot of this guy going, "It's a living," every single session.
But like how wonderful and perfect that is to like try, and how that would like push Wake, right? Because like the first time, this is a person just doing what they need to survive. The fifth or sixth time, like you are part of the problem, person. Like, sir, excuse me, can you not? The audacity, where is it? Hand it over.
Yeah, or even like at that point, it's like how bad is your life? Like, how shitty do you have it? Like, there's so many options for Wake to either be like, no, you are emblematic of the problem, or you are emblematic of the problems in society. Like,
so
many decisions.
Right. really entangling. Oh, I love Wake, and I think Wake has been set up for greatness. I've got to be really honest with you right now. I know we met Gus earlier and we were all Gus stans, but I think Wake might have my heart now. I'm just saying.
The bus.
We've had more of
Gus
an
the
opportunity
bus.
to get to know Wake. I feel
It's true.
like I still like Gus.
The chemistry with Gus, the chemistry with Gus is undeniable. Okay, I'm not gonna come on here and say that Gus just like doesn't immediately get it, but I will say, once you get to know Wake, really, I think that they're very complex and there's a lot there. And like frankly, for me, Wake's got this kind of moody broodiness that just like speaks to me as a person. I have a problem with just people that like have this deep rooted sense of like being tired of everyone's bullshit. But I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this.
Yeah. I mean, if we really want to, like, one of my favorite television shows last year was Interview with the Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either of you guys saw it.
I haven't seen the show. I've seen the film.
Okay.
Yeah, I said it like that.
But there's like an old investigative journalist in that show who is like who I want to be when I grow up. Is like, I want to be Daniel Malloy. I want to be 68 and like tired of all the like bullshit that these hot, sexy vampires are trying to pull. And I'm just like, me.
That's me. I want this.
Me. So yeah, so like that character definitely like has a pretty strong influence over a lot of games and like writing that I'm doing, just because like it's such a good character. So like there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of Daniel Malloy in Wake, but I think Wake is still more naive and still more like not established, like definitely like struggling. Yeah, I think Wake is still like, I mean, that's kind of the thing what we said earlier, like they're still trying to figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're in they're like early 40s and they're just trying to figure shit out.
Right. I love it. So you called to this other character. One of my general questions for the show is, you know, who are some of your favorite characters, or like where do you pull inspiration for your characters? Like you mentioned earlier, normally you play like big beefy boys. But I think all of us in the back of our head have a list of characters that like we want to be. You know what I mean? Who are some of yours?
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Malloy is top right now. I would like to be a 68-year-old man writing about vampires.
Very good.
Please. I am always sort of drawn to the general. I really like in role-playing games, I really like playing people who have hearts of gold, regardless of like whatever else is out there. I tend to have a hard time playing people who are malicious, not evil, but like definitely like malicious or like selfish in a lot of ways. So my characters tend to be, they tend to have like a moral center in some ways. So Daniel Malloy, Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet.
Yes, very good.
The blueprint for boyhood, just in general.
Yeah.
So Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet. What are some other good ones? Oh, one of my favorite literary novels is Orlando by Virginia Woolf.
Okay.
So Orlando, I don't know, have either of you guys read this book?
I have not.
Not to blow your minds. So Virginia Woolf like wrote in the early 1900s, and she was married to a man, but she had this pretty intense lesbian affair with another writer in the Bloomsbury group, which were a group of writers in like England in the 1900s. And Virginia Woolf wrote Orlando as sort of like this big love letter to her lesbian paramour. And it is about this young man who grows up and then changes genders and travels through time. Like this immortal young man who like changes genders multiple times and meets up with like other genderqueer characters and has like this other like massive romance with like women and men across across time. And it's just really one of the first novels that I ever read that was very explicitly about like changing your gender and being trans and being queer, and like one of the earliest examples that I know of that by like a contemporary author that really embraces that kind of mutability with gender and emotions. So Orlando's a big one.
Writing it down.
It is Virginia Woolf, so it's like it's a little dense. It's not an easy read, but it's very worth it. And I think it's one of those books that's like this should be in the canon for a reason. Like I think there's like a lot of random people that people really like, but I think that Orlando should be a part of the queer canon in a very real way.
Yeah, that rocks.
Yeah, it's a great book. Daniel Beloy, Orlando, Jim. Speaking of big, beefy, angry men, Geralt of Rivia.
There we go. There we go. Love it.
Oops.
No oops, only yes.
Yeah, so Geralt
checks off so many boxes.
Again, also like a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Big dumbass boy doing big dumbass boy things, and I'm just like, I love you. I love you. Utna from Revolutionary Girl Utna.
I don't know who this is. I don't know what this is.
Do you mind if I like steps?
Yeah,
like
go for it. Absolutely.
Props. Time for props. Okay. So it's a manga.
Oh. Okay.
Right? Oh my gosh, it has a very sexy poster. Are we ready for this?
Oh, yes, we are.
I know this poster.
Oh no.
I've been like too embarrassed to put this poster up. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Very good. Very good.
Put it up.
This one is Utna,
Mm-hmm.
and this one's Anthe, and they're married.
Love it. Very good.
Yeah. So the premise of Revolutionary Girl Utna is this very surreal anime where this girl Utna wants to become a prince.
Okay.
So she dresses like a boy, and she like practices swordsmanship, and it's like modern day Japan. And she goes to this school where there's a rose bride that is engaged to the like head of the fencing society, like the fighting society.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like it's peak like late 80s, early 90s. And it's bonkers. So anyway, this is all about like Utna and Anthe and like their relationship and their love story, and also like shoujo fantasy and girls fighting with swords. And
hell yeah.
It's wonderful. It was made into an anime, and that's where I first found it. But like, it's just like it's so good. This is like the rival for Anthe's love.
Very good.
There's like really, and it's full of like lesbians and queers.
We love things.
Lesbians.
Yes.
Here's Anthe and Utna.
Very good. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
One
more. Look at this.
Very good. Yes.
So
very good.
Utna is a blueprint.
Yeah. The amount of stories or like books that I read as like a middle school girl of like girls dressing up like boys in order to like accomplish things is extraordinarily high. So this resonates with me deeply.
Okay. Oh, okay. Last one, because you just reminded me. Did you guys read any of the Tamora Pierce books?
Fucking love, yes, Lioness. Your girl, same. I fucking love Tamora Pierce. Go off. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Tamora Pierce. But I never got into the Lioness series.
Ooh, that's okay. There's so many other ones. Circle of Magic. Let's talk about it.
No,
should I grab all my Tamora Pierce books?
My series was The Protector of the Small,
Yes.
You could sort of,
Yes.
you could see how it all fits in, where it's
So
just like this big girl who like doesn't care for love and
Mhm.
like really wants to fight and like
Yeah.
still be who she is. And I'm
Yep.
just like,
Mhm.
Kel. So Kel is another blueprint.
Love it. This is very good.
So yeah, I think those are some good ones. Daniel Malloy, Jim Hawkins, Orlando, Utna, Kel.
These are good spread.
Yeah, that's
I
a
like
good
this
list.
a lot.
Feels
I
powerful.
freaking loved it.
We said
It does.
we threw Geralt in there for like a gimme.
Geralt was like a I almost feels like an honorable mention on your list. Like like
Yeah.
he exists. We're aware of his activity in the space. We respect game recognized game, but here's the list.
But yeah, I don't think he makes the list, but he's definitely like a character that 2 minutes after I met him, I was like, that's my husband.
That's my guy. I love it.
Like, I will stand with him no matter what.
Very good.
I support my husband.
Listen, he's doing his best, okay?
I know. That's why I love him.
Go for it, Keegan.
Only know Geralt from the TV show, and I didn't think the show was very good. So
Keegan.
like, huh. Interesting.
I can't say much more. I only know him from the video games. I haven't read the books, so I get it. It's fine.
Jail.
We can all rank differently on the Geralt scale, but I will tell you. And that's all I'll say about that.
That's my husband.
We're getting close to wrap up time. Before we close out though, is there any details, anything additional you would want to like add to Wake? Or do you feel like is there any little spark that we've left that you like typically? I know, like, are you a playlists for your character kind of person?
I am a playlist for my character kind of person.
Love it.
I will absolutely make one and send it over.
Oh, fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's options in the book for genetic modification and wetware.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
I'm sort of looking through that and seeing if like there's something that he would or they would add to sort of, yeah, I don't know. I think that they probably have a gun of some kind.
Okay.
One of the things that I like about this character creation too is like you don't automatically get a weapon, but you can definitely have one. I think that there's a lot of this is like laser pistol, extremely long range, illegal.
Illegal.
Yeah, so it's really fun. Of course, I mean, Gus has the brass knuckles, which
of course.
Yeah.
It's very good.
He got a bonus because they were like embedded in his skin. Anywho.
Somewhere in my mind, like Wake and Gus like cross paths, like maybe before Gus like breaks out of his like bouncer like street cred career, and like Wake's trying to like get into somewhere to like get to a source, and Gus is like the man between, you know what I mean? So there's this like awkward like interaction.
No. The way it would work is Gus would be so good and so pure and like so downtrodden that like Wake would fall in love with him immediately.
Very good.
Gus is such a good boy. Yeah, I think the last little note is that Wake would probably have a light pistol, which is concealable.
Ooh.
So it doesn't do a lot of damage, but easily hidden. But I think that's it. I think that's the only thing. I don't think they would be able to afford genetic modifications. I don't think they would be able to afford like really high-end wetware or anything. At least not yet. Maybe like as the story goes on that they get some upgrades. But I think I think that's it. They have a little pistol. A little pew pew.
Excellent. I'm very proud of the great work that's been done today. Wake is very good. And Linda, thank you so much for coming here and talking with us and making Wake in the first place. We were really excited to have you here. It's been a blast. Before we go, is there anything, where can people find you? Like, if they want to get to know Linda, keep an eye on the great work that you're doing, what's the best way to do that?
Oh God, I'm so sorry, everybody. The best way to keep up with me is on Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That's
Same.
just how it is.
Yeah. Luckily, my Twitter is pretty easy. It's at Lynn Codega, LINCODEGA. I'm also at Lynn Codega on everything. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, Lynn Codega all over. But I'm really only active on Twitter, like publicly. And yeah, if you follow io9.com and you sign up for like the RSS feed or like the newsletter, my work is all over there. And I really don't write for anywhere else because they have a first look clause in my contract.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's really nice, but it's also just like, oh gosh, I'm not working.
Right.
I'm not writing anywhere. Yeah, so keep up with me on Twitter, keep up with me at io9, and hopefully I will have some fiction and game announcements soon.
Ooh,
And
exciting.
just for people watching, all those links are actually in the description as well because I did my homework.
Nice. Very good. Well done, Keegan.
Keegan, get it.
Speaking of that,
the link to your itch there too, which you didn't bring up, but I will.
Yeah.
You also make and publish games.
Yes, yeah, I write very small games for very small people.
excellent.
For anyone.
This is excellent.
They're for anyone, but they're small.
Perfect. And then Keegan, as far as us and our stream stuff, we've got some stuff coming up later in the month in March. We've got some space fuckery that we're doing.
We'll be back on the 26th for another episode of Character Study, this time with Aaron King, while we go through their low-res futures. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. And then we'll be back the following Sunday again for the first of our two-part Space Fucked special. We'll be doing Character Study with Nevin and then sitting down again on the 12th to actually play Space Fucked. And then the only other cult news is on the 4th we'll be playing Viva La Gay Bar, which I'm excited for.
Awesome. And with that, thanks again to Linda. Thanks everybody in chat for hanging out with us today. It's been great. And we will bid you a good afternoon and tell you that we hope you enjoy your pizza.